Good morning. Today's demo is on pencil shading. We are going to shade from the darkest dark that we can get to our highlight, which is going to be a step 1. Make sure the first thing you do is put your name, because this is a practice worth 20 points, and everyone's is going to look the same or very similar. People tend to shade a little differently, but in the end, it's going to be dark to light, same deal for everybody. So please make sure you put your name on it. Your period number goes here, and then I'm going to show you my technique for shading that works pretty well. This is the darkest dark. You want to hold your pencil like a conductor. I'm not worried about you shading inside the lines. Press pretty dark, but not super, super dark. We never want to smudge with our fingers, and please don't use an eraser on this, because an eraser will also smudge. But one thing that you can do is, if you feel like you're making a mistake, you can always start over and create a scale up top, create a scale on the bottom. I'm getting towards my white, so I want to get so light that I'm just lightly dragging my pencil almost to the point where I can't even see it anymore towards the end of my scale. You might be wondering why this is all sort of the same. Once I get to my step 2, I'm going to go back to step 10 again and put another layer. So this really fills in all the white and makes my shade scale look solid. You don't want to really press super hard towards the 10 and then, press less hard and just do one coat, because then it won't totally fill the texture of the paper. I'm like burnishing the paper as I go. Okay, that's a good step 1, 2, and step 3. Okay, step 4, I can fill in a little bit more. I want to make sure that it's visibly darker than my step 3, and it is. Step 5 should be visibly darker than my step 4, and it is. My 6th isn't quite darker. I'm just working backwards. Now it is. This is 7. It's going to be visibly darker than my 6th. Now it is. Although there's a little bit of glare. I apologize about that. Now I'm going to press really hard for my step 8, 9, 8, 9, and 10. I can go back and really put a ton of pressure in there.
Made it white again.
What's that?
Looks white and white.
I know. Okay, there we go. See the steps? Then you're going to try it here, 1 to 10, without numbering. This is just going to be you trying to achieve 10 steps along the way. I shouldn't say without numbering. You can number, but no lines. So you're going to try to get it smooth. Now, how do we apply these values to a three-dimensional form? That's when it gets tricky. When you're shading a sphere, like in our practice, we're going to shade a sphere. Feel free to turn your paper. Why? Because look at the natural curve of my hand, right? Or my wrist goes this way. Okay. This is the opposite. I don't want to have to try to make smooth lines this way. So when we're shading, after we do our drawing, feel free to move your paper all over the place to make it as smooth gradation as possible. Cast shadow, going to be pretty dark. I'm going to make mine a 10, and then I'm going to outline. You might think this is a weak photocopy, It's a weak photocopy intentionally because we really want to try to not see our lines of transition. You want to make this as smooth as possible. The lines on this photocopy are just there to kind of help be a guide and a reminder that your steps should get gradually lighter as you go towards your light source, which in this case, the light source is less. The light source is the top point. Okay, so there we go. Super, super dark. Now, you never want to have this, the bottom of an object, compete value-wise with your cast shadow, because what will happen to your form? If you draw a form and then underneath there's a cast shadow that's equal darkness, what happens to that bottom area of your form? Gemma? Yeah, you lose it. You lose your form. So, we're going to intentionally make this lighter. And I have my drawing upside down. Okay, there's another step. So I'm going to start to get lighter. And without kind of demonstrating the whole sphere of this, you can see where the lines go. I just don't want to take all your work time. There we go. See how that's starting to turn in space? Really cool. That's like the magic of art. You can create those illusions of depth in three-dimensional form on a flat page. Okay? So you're going to finish that whole thing. Try that, in opposite order. And then you don't need to put these in the turn-in bin. You could just leave them at your desk, and I'll check them. Okay? Great.